In a world ruled not by justice but by perception, your words are weapons, and every careless syllable can cost you power. Most people speak to be understood, but the powerful speak rarely and only to dominate. In this video, I will show you 7 deadly situations where silence isn't weakness. It is your sharpest sword. You will learn how to protect your dignity, maintain your advantage, and control the battlefield without ever opening your mouth. You feel it rising. The heat in your chest, the tremor in your voice, the clenched jaw begging to speak. Someone has insulted you, betrayed you, humiliated you. Your first instinct is to lash out, to defend yourself, to make them pay with sharp words. That instinct is weakness disguised as courage. When you speak in anger, you are not in control. You are being controlled. Your enemy, whether intentional or accidental, now governs your emotional state. They dictate your reaction, and in doing so, they own you. A man who cannot command his own temper cannot command a kingdom, a boardroom, or even a room. The fool confuses silence with submission, but the wise, the cold, the Machiavellian, understand that silence in the face of offense is not retreat, it is observation. While others fume, you study. While they explode, you evolve. Because the moment you reveal that you're hurt, you also reveal the precise method of hurting you again. Your anger is a map to your pressure points, and once others know the coordinates, you have no fortress left to hide in. Rage is not feared by the powerful. It is pitied, mocked, and quietly documented. They watch you lose control and file it away for later use. They provoke again, not to win an argument, but to see if you're still vulnerable. And when you are, they strike harder, smarter, more publicly. The man who always reacts becomes the man everyone uses for entertainment. You are no longer a force. You are a tool. You are a button waiting to be pushed. It is a fatal error to think that expression equals strength. The world has taught you this lie. Speak your truth. Let it out. Don't bottle it up. But kings, conquerors, emperors, they understood a deeper truth. The moment you speak emotionally, you validate your opponent's power over you. You let them know that their words landed, and worse, you let the crowd know too. Now imagine a different reaction. Imagine someone insults you in public, waiting for a loud response, a scene, a back and forth that ends in nothing but bruised egos. But you say nothing. You hold their gaze, unshaken, unmoved. The crowd grows restless. The enemy grows confused. The silence becomes unbearable. Now they are unsure. Did they hit a nerve or miss completely? Did you not care? Or are you planning something darker? Your silence becomes power because it forces others to fill in the blanks with their own fear, begin to doubt their dominance. They begin to worry what you'll do next, not what you'll say. That uncertainty is a weapon far sharper than any comeback you could spit in anger. You don't need to show rage to be feared. You don't need to bark to be respected. The lion doesn't roar at every hyena. It waits, studies, strikes once. Let others waste their breath proving their pain. Let them scream into the void for justice, for validation, for understanding. You will remain still. You will appear untouchable. You will speak only when the words serve your strategy, not your emotions. And understand this: anger, while natural, is predictable. A Machiavellian mind rejects the predictable. He does not want his adversaries to know what he feels or when he feels it. He wants them guessing, doubting, hesitating. And there is no better way to induce doubt than to remain calm when fury would be expected. Let the world wonder what you're thinking. Let them question your silence. Because when they cannot read your mind, they cannot read your next move. There will come a moment when someone defeats you, not with weapons, but with wit. Not with force, but with timing. Perhaps they outmaneuvered you in a negotiation. Perhaps they made you look foolish in front of others. Perhaps they delivered a blow so elegant and public that your reputation takes the hit before your mind can even react. Your ego will scream for justice. Your pride will beg for a response. You will feel an overwhelming urge to speak, loudly, defensively, emotionally. That urge is your enemy. The desire to explain yourself after being outsmarted is a seductive illusion. It promises to salvage your dignity, to rewrite the narrative, to level the ground. But each word you speak digs the hole deeper. You reveal your desperation, your insecurity, your need to be understood. And in the court of power, needing to be understood is a confession of weakness. The truly powerful do not explain. They don't seek sympathy or correction. They accept the loss in silence and plot their return in private. Understand the psychology of those who win against you. They expect resistance. They anticipate your rebuttal. They are ready for you to justify yourself, to protest, to expose how much the moment has affected you. When you do, you give them the upper hand twice. First in victory, then in reaction. But when you say nothing, when your face remains unreadable, your tone calm, your presence still, you create a vacuum. And in that vacuum, doubt begins to form. Was the victory real? Was it complete? Have they made a future enemy out of someone who never forgets? The Machiavellian mind knows that power is not found in constant victories. It is found in silence after defeat, the silence that unsettles your opponent, the silence that makes others think you are not finished, only waiting, the silence that reclaims your composure, re-establishes your image, and makes you seem like the kind of person who loses nothing, even in loss. While others celebrate, you remain still. While they gloat, you study. And while they bask in their moment, you begin to take it from them by refusing to react. Every time you speak after being outsmarted, you are performing for the audience. You are trying to control their perception. But here is the truth: the audience already saw the moment. They saw who won and who lost. They do not care about your side of the story. The more you insist on explaining it, the more they see your wounds. And wounds do not attract respect. They attract scavengers. Even in personal conflict, silence after defeat is more terrifying than anger. The man who loses and disappears into silence, he is the one others watch carefully. He is the one whose return they fear, because no one knows when it will come or in what form. That uncertainty is power. It lingers. It haunts. It controls the atmosphere long after the original moment has passed. Words end. Silence echoes. Let them mock you. Let them believe they've triumphed. Give them nothing to feed on. They will fill the silence with their own noise, their own insecurities, their own assumptions. Let them reveal themselves while you remain hidden. And when the time is right, you will strike. Not with explanation, not with protest, but with something far more surgical and precise. When you lose and remain silent, you tell the world that your value does not depend on this single moment. You separate your identity from temporary outcomes. You elevate yourself above the emotional battlefield where most people are bleeding over words. You become the figure in the shadows, unshaken, dangerous, undefined, the figure no one can predict and therefore no one can prepare for. You will find yourself in rooms where the real power does not shout, it watches. These are not spaces of equality. These are arenas of hierarchy. And in these moments, surrounded by those who possess greater wealth, sharper influence, deeper connections, your instinct may tempt you to speak. To impress, to prove, to belong. That instinct must be crushed. Because when you are in the presence of the powerful, they are not simply listening to your words. They are calculating what your words say about your intentions, your insecurities, your ambition. Every sentence you offer is an open window into your strategy. Every emotion in your tone is a signal they can exploit. You are not having a conversation. You are being measured, scanned, and profiled. The moment you speak too much in their presence, you lower your value. The powerful trust silence. They associate it with control, confidence, and restraint. The talkative man reveals his desperation to be liked. The overly expressive woman gives away her emotional compass. The eager voice that fills the room is the one that becomes predictable. And predictability is a death sentence in any power structure. If they already outrank you, understand this: they don't want to hear you. They want to know what role you're willing to play. Will you submit? Will you challenge? Will you flatter? They are observing not your words, but the structure of your mind behind them. And when you speak without control, They no longer need to guess. A man who is truly dangerous never needs to speak loudly in a room full of kings. He lets them wonder whether he's a threat or an ally. He never clarifies. He watches more than he explains. He listens for the language of weakness, the phrases of uncertainty, the unspoken signals that others give off when they believe they're still in control. The powerful want you to speak because your words give them leverage. But when you give them only minimal answers, when you respond to questions with strategic brevity, when you offer no unnecessary commentary, they are forced to work harder to understand your angle. That effort creates doubt, and doubt leads to hesitation, and hesitation creates advantage for you. If you want to rise, do not seek to impress with intellect or stories or achievements. Let them ask, let them dig, let them hunger for the details. When the powerful pursue your knowledge instead of receiving it freely, the power dynamic begins to shift. Not in words, but in perception. You stop being beneath them and become something harder to place, something worth watching. Many make the mistake of filling the silence in powerful rooms, trying to appear important. But importance does not come from words. It comes from mystique. The fewer people can define you, the more they will respect you. The less predictable you are, the more they will hesitate to cross you. Power does not reside in what is seen. It resides in what is withheld. They may ask your opinion. Watch how you give it. They may challenge your silence. Observe how they grow uncomfortable when you don't flinch. They may try to bait you into speaking freely. Refuse. Offer nothing without calculation. Give no thoughts away for free. Every idea in your mind is currency. Do not spend it cheaply to gain validation. Save it to buy influence later, when they least expect it. There is a unique fear the powerful feel when they cannot read you. It is subtle, but real. You become a potential threat, and the greatest threats are those who shout from the rooftops. They are those who smile quietly, who speak last, and who observe more than they reveal. When you are silent in rooms where everyone else wants to be seen, you are not invisible. You are above the cows. You are untouchable. There is a certain pressure that comes not from kings or generals, but from the faceless voice of the crowd. It surrounds you. It demands a reaction. It thrives on emotion, provocation, spectacle. In the age of public noise, of digital outrage, of comment sections and mobs masquerading as moral judges, there will come a moment when they all turn toward you, craving your response. And the most Machiavellian move you can make in that moment is to say nothing. The crowd is not your friend. It does not seek truth. It seeks blood. It craves your humiliation dressed as honesty. The moment you feel compelled to respond, to clarify, to defend your name, your beliefs, your choices, you have already lost control of the narrative. Now you are on their leash, reacting to their tempo, moving to their rhythm. And when you play by their tempo, they will dance you into the fire. They will say, "Speak up." They will pretend they care about your side. They will pressure you to explain, to apologize, to prove something. But the moment you open your mouth, they're not listening. They're waiting to find fault in your tone, weakness in your posture, a crack in your logic. They want to twist your words and feed them to others. It is not understanding they want. It is collapse. It is control. Do not hand them your sword by giving them your voice. The more silent you remain, the more unmanageable you become. They want you to confess. They want you to panic. They want you to explain yourself because they know that a person explaining is already on the defensive. But when you stay quiet, when your lips stay sealed and your eyes remain cold, they are left with nothing to attack. Only space, silence, and uncertainty. And that is terrifying to them. When the crowd screams for your attention, you become the prize. You become the target they rally against. But if you do not respond, if you do not feed the frenzy, their fire cannot grow. The flame flickers, then dies in confusion. Because there is no greater insult to a mob than indifference. They want to feel powerful. Your silence reminds them they are not. It reminds them that you are operating from a different altitude. That you are not one of them. that their noise cannot penetrate your armor. Let others drown in noise. Let them scream to be heard, argue to be right, beg for clarity. You will be the storm without thunder, the presence without proclamation. They will guess what you're thinking. They will debate your motives. They will accuse you of everything. Let them. Because in their obsession with interpreting your silence, they reveal far more about themselves than you ever could in words. Even when you're falsely accused, even when the world spins its twisted version of your story, do not rush to clear your name. The truly powerful never panic. They never rush to justify. They let others burn themselves out. They let the noise fade. And then, when the time is right, they speak not to answer, but to redirect the narrative entirely. But until that moment arrives, they remain silent. Not out of fear, but out of strategy. The crowd will always look for someone to shame, someone to break, someone to watch fall apart in public view. They feed on reactions. They elevate controversy, not truth. They thrive on emotional spectacle. So when you feel the pressure to explain yourself, to join the public game, remember who benefits from your participation. It isn't you, it's them. The wolves do not bark with the pack. They stay silent in the trees, waiting, watching, knowing that timing is everything. There is no greater illusion than the belief that revenge must be spoken. The weak announce it. The loud threaten it. The emotional describe it in detail, as if they are reading from a script meant to scare. But the Machiavellian mind knows. True revenge is never declared. It is planned in silence and delivered without mercy. The moment you speak of revenge, you lose the advantage of unpredictability. You make your enemy alert. You allow them to prepare. And once they prepare, the opportunity you had slips away like smoke. You become a known threat instead of a hidden one. You transform your plan from a dagger into a warning sign. What should have been surgical becomes sloppy. What should have been silent becomes staged. Understand this: revenge is not about the pleasure of the strike. It is about the permanence of the lesson. And if the lesson is to be remembered, it must come when it is least expected. You cannot teach fear with words. You teach it with silence followed by decisive, unapologetic action. But most people destroy the power of their vengeance by speaking too soon, reacting too fast, and revealing too much. They cannot contain their rage, so they leak it through their mouth, and in doing so, their entire strategy collapses. You must not let them know you are hurt. You must not let them know you are watching. You mustn't let them believe you are even thinking about them. Let them sleep peacefully. Let them relax. Let them mock you in confidence. Because revenge is not just about retribution. It's about psychological domination. The longer they believe they've won, the more devastating the reversal becomes. You don't simply strike back. You erase their illusion of victory. The world respects results, not announcements. When you warn your enemy, you elevate them. You give them importance. When you punish them without warning, you humble them in a way they never recover from. And that's the goal. Not to hurt, but to dismantle. Not to offend, but to remind them that you do not forget and that your silence was not forgiveness. It was preparation. Even your closest allies must not know what you're planning. Keep your thoughts sealed. Your motives disguised. Revenge is personal, but the execution must be clinical. You must become emotionless in its delivery, cold, surgical, invisible, a force that moves without sound but leaves undeniable consequences. Let others play the game of revenge with drama, with social media, with petty insults and visible anger. You will play it like a master tactician. No wasted movement, no unnecessary words, no traceable emotion. You must make yourself unreadable, smile if needed, be gracious in defeat. Let them believe you have moved on. The more sincere your silence appears, the more comfortable they become. And when people feel safe, they reveal more. They drop their guard. They expose new vulnerabilities. And in time, they begin to write the very blueprint you'll later use to undo them. The most satisfying revenge is not loud. It is permanent. It is the kind that leaves no room for retaliation. The kind that teaches them they were never truly safe. That they underestimated a quiet mind for a weak one. That while they boasted, you were building. That while they laughed, you were sharpening. And when you finally strike, it will not just wound. It will redefine the way they speak your name. But that only happens if you keep your mouth shut. If you understand that silence is not the absence of action, it is the concealment of it. That every day you say nothing, you grow stronger. Every time you resist the urge to respond, you gain ground. Because revenge does not belong to the emotional. It belongs to the disciplined. It belongs to the silent. It belongs to the one who disappears into the shadows, only to return as the shadow that ruins everything they once thought was secure. You were taught that strength lies in speaking up, in defending yourself, in expressing every thought and feeling. But I tell you this, power lies in restraint, in knowing exactly when to say nothing, in letting your silence speak louder than your words ever could. In anger, silence disarms your enemy. In defeat, it preserves your dignity. In the presence of power, it shields your strategy. When the mob demands your voice, it becomes your rebellion. And in revenge, it becomes your weapon. The world is loud. Everyone is performing. Everyone is reacting. But the one who controls the room is the one who remains unreadable. Do not be predictable. Do not be emotional. Be silent. Be still. Be dangerous. They may call it cold. They may call it cruel. But when you walk in silence while others drown in noise, you don't just survive. You dominate.